But first, the story of a man's battle to save his dream. It's a struggle that can make him a millionaire or a pauper, depending on whether he can beat an enemy that's almost invincible. The enemy, you see, is City Hall. It's the story of a man from Idaho whose dreams and money are tied up in a small plot of land at a New York suburb. The dream is not so unusual. What's strange is what happened to his land when he wasn't looking. Alex Sirkin has more.
This is the property line.
Peter Gache had a dream that was going to make him a very rich man. You see all this undeveloped woodsy land? Gache owns it, more than 100 acres that's been in his family for decades. And it sits in the plush suburb of Harrison, New York, in Westchester County. Much of the nearby area is dotted with multi-million-dollar estates on acres of wooded land. And that's what Gache planned to turn his land into. He would build homes, sell them, and become a multi-millionaire.
And then I found this landfill, and my whole life changed overnight.
What's he talking about? At first glance, this doesn't look like a landfill because it's been plowed over many times with topsoil. It just looks like a clearing in the woods. Then you see how it suddenly drops off.
You're walking right to the edge. This is the last part of the landfill here.
All this we're standing on is land.
All this is landfill.
And it's apparently full of all kinds of debris, everything from drums of cleaning fluid to car parts to old refrigerators to construction materials, all mixed in with mashed up trees and other organic material. What Gache wanted to know was, how did it all get there? He had never touched this pristine land.
Well, it turns out that sometime in the past couple of decades, the town of Harrison decided to turn Gache's property into the town dump. The town does own that brick building back there. It's a town garage, and the only road leading in here is right there adjacent to the garage. Over the years, trucks came in through this road and dumped tons and tons of debris here, creating the landfill I'm standing on.
As long as this landfill sits here, nobody wants to develop this property. The burden is so great.
So, Gache says, this prime land, appraised at upwards of $10 million, isn't worth much at all with a landfill on it. And in the meantime, Gache owes a bank $5 million. That's the loan he took out several years ago to buy half the land from his brother for $3 million, with the rest going to get development plans together. But now that the plans have gone awry, the bank wants its money, or at least Gache's assets. He's filed bankruptcy to protect them.
This has been a nightmare ever since I first found this out. It's just totally, my whole life has become a disaster because of this. I stand to lose everything. Not just this valuable piece of property. I stand to lose my home. I stand to lose everything I've ever acquired in my lifetime.
Now, you would think there would be a simple solution to all this. The town created the dump, so the town should clean it up, right?
Now, when you first brought this to the attention of the city, said, hey, you've been dumping on my land for years, what did they tell you?
The first reaction was they looked at me and they said, how do you know we've been doing the dumping?
They denied it.
They denied it.
That was 3 years ago, and soon afterwards, Gache filed a $20 million lawsuit against the town. In its response, the town admitted dumping on Gache's land, but only leaves, brush, road sweepings, and similar debris, as well as scrap concrete. The town also admitted allowing private individuals to dump there. But then the town shocked Gache by claiming it owned those 5 acres of his property it had been dumping on.
The town came up with a little-used legal claim left over from the days of common law, when land barons owned huge tracts of land and left them unused. The doctrine is called adverse possession. It says that if you make use of someone's property for a public purpose and do so openly and notoriously for a period of years, and the owner never complains, you may have a claim to that property.
Most of the cases you would find having to do with adverse possession are very old. Early 1900s, 1800s.
Alan Susser, a real estate expert with a New Jersey law firm, reviewed the case at our request.
Do you get the sense in this case that the city is using adverse possession in a legitimate way?
No, it was probably just a very good idea of one of their attorneys, at least to probably delay things.
Illegal maneuvering.
Yeah, yeah.
By now, you're probably wondering what the town of Harrison has to say about all this. We wanted to ask the mayor, Charles Balancia. His secretary said, talk to the town attorney, Ron Bianchi. Bianchi spoke briefly with me on the phone, but declined an interview. He said, talk to the town's Washington law firm, Skadden Arps, which did not return phone calls. So we decided to stop by a town board meeting one night. When it was over, we approached Mayor Balancia to ask him about the Gache dump site.
It'll be addressed in the courts where it belongs.
But you have to admit, it looks pretty bad. You turn this man's land into a dump site. Do you have any explanation as to why this happened?
It'll be decided in the courts why it happened, how it happened. That's why we have courts, and that's why we hired lawyers.
So your strategy...
It's my interest to protect the town of Harrison. And since I've been the mayor, and obviously this issue has preceded me by many years, it's my interest to protect the town of Harrison, and we will protect our town in the courts. And justice will be served in our courts.
So your strategy is to tie the matter up in the courts as long as possible?
No, my strategy is to let the court decide this matter where it belongs. That's why we have courts and we have lawyers.
And leave Mr. Gache just twisting in the wind. One of your own citizens is paying taxes on this land.
We're in litigation.
We'll see Mr. Gache in litigation.
We also asked the mayor about all the debris we had seen dumped out there, far more extensive than the leaves and road sweepings that the town admitted in court papers.
Have you been out there?
Oh, many times I've looked at it.
And have you seen the drums of cleaning fluid, the car parts,
I haven't.
The tires?
I don't know anybody who has seen that.
You haven't seen any of that out there?
Certainly not.
I mean, look at this. And right here by the stream.
Why doesn't the town just remove the landfill? Well, the cost would be high, as much as $6 million by Gache's estimate, and possibly more if it turns out there is toxic waste in here. So, while the legal system plods along, Gache can only watch his prime assets sit there with no monetary return. He recently got a reprieve from bankruptcy court, giving him another year before the bank can take action against him. A small victory in what has become a frustrating battle.
Now I don't know what the future is. I don't know what this property can ever be used for. I mean, it's now known as the dump. It may take a long time for people to forgive and forget about this thing. That's after it's cleaned up. And so far, we can't even get it cleaned up.
Gache has had the dump site tested for toxic material, and apparently there is low-level contamination of pesticides and metals on his property. His case against the town of Harrison is expected to go to trial sometime in June.